I lost 19 kilograms in 6 months, and there are some core principles that I truly believe are the driver of why it was so successful for me. Now, 2 years prior to me losing that 19 kilograms, there were some up and downs, there were some failures, there were some giving ups. So don't get me wrong, like I've had my fair share of struggling when it comes to weight loss, but in that 6 months where I successfully navigated losing weight and actually enjoying life, there were 5 key principles that I took with me and I truly believe will help you too. So if you are looking to lose weight and you want to learn about how I lost 19 kilograms in 6 months, then carry on watching. And if you are new around here, my name is Carissa and I make videos all around fitness, health, and how you can build that into your lifestyle. So if that does sound like something that you would enjoy, make sure you subscribe. Now I've got my laptop with me with all of my points down here because I do not want to miss a beat. Now, first things first, it is finding movement that you actually enjoy. And I actually mean that. Like, I feel like some people could listen to me there and just roll their eyes and be like movement, like, yeah, duh. But I really mean it in terms of movement that you actually enjoy. Like, what do you enjoy doing? What could you turn around and say to yourself, I'm going to commit to myself doing this 3, 4, 5 times a week? Because what you need to not put yourself in a situation of is dreading going to do your session, whatever that may be. Now, look, when you're building a body, yes, there are going to be certain types of exercises that might lead you to, building glutes. Like if you want to build your glutes, running, Pilates classes, that's probably not going to build your glutes. You're probably going to have to go into the gym. But when we're looking at weight loss specifically, movement in general is going to help you increase your expenditure. And when you can find a form of movement that you love and you can commit to on a routine basis, that is going to allow you to be consistent. Now, for me, this was strength training. That is my bread and butter. That is me through and through. I love being in the gym. It's what I can consistently do, but that could be absolutely anything. The reason why strength training really spoke to me was because it felt like something I felt capable of doing in that moment. At the time, my mindset around cardio was just, it wasn't for me. These days, I do like a bit more cardio in my routine, but back then I was like, no, can't do cardio, it's just not me. But when I found the flow of strength training, I was like, wow, this actually feels like something I can do. I'm really enjoying this. I don't feel, completely depleted or like I'm failing in it. I'm actually, enjoying moving my body. And that is why I believe I was so consistent with my training, because I looked forward to getting up in the morning and going to the gym. Second one is your time and knowing what it is that you can actually commit to. Now, when I look at my calendar right now, I could probably look at it and think, do you know what? I could get in 6 sessions a week on a nice clear calendar. But let's be honest, my calendar is very rarely clear. It's very rarely clear. It can start off clear the week before when I plan my week, but more than likely something's going to pop up. There's going to be an errand I need to run. There's going to be something that needs doing. So what can I actually be capable of doing when life feels busy? Because life always is going to feel busy. We can constantly tell ourselves we're going to do something when life quietens down. Life doesn't quieten down. We are constantly on the go. There is constantly things that are taking up our time. So what we need to look at is, what am I actually physically capable of doing on the worst of worst weeks? And move through with that, run with that. And if you find yourself with a little bit more of additional time as time goes on, then you can start to increase your sessions or start to have an additional session if you do find yourself with the time. But I would say commit to yourself with some non-negotiables of, okay, my calendar looks clear for 6, but I know for a fact, life could throw me anything and I more than likely still get 3 done. And that's exactly what I do. The third one is understanding what a calorie deficit actually is. Now, that can be kind of very easily said and thinking, okay, I know what a calorie deficit is. I need to be eating less than what I'm expending. But you need to know what you can commit to long term to know whether you are actually going to be in a deficit. Because, if you have 1 week where you've said, I'm going to do 5 workouts, I'm going to get 10,000 steps. But then the next week, life's a little bit more busier and I can only do 8,000 steps and 3 workouts. That could be the difference of you being in a deficit or not. And, getting a generic calorie deficit off an online calculator, which asks if you're sedentary, moderately active, or really active, isn't going to give you much specifics. So you actually want to lean into, what can I commit to? Our last one, what is it I'm actually capable of doing when it comes to my steps per week, my workouts per week? And what does that look like when it comes to my expenditure? And work your calorie deficit from there. Now, like I say, a calorie deficit is when you're expending more energy than what you are consuming. And we want to be doing that in a safe way, which can be another video, another topic that we can go over. But that is essentially how the body changes. That's how we lose weight. Now, the fourth one is actually adding food rather than cutting it out. And what I mean by that is learning how to keep foods in your diet and still be within your calorie deficit rather than removing things. Because when you start removing food, that is when things start to get miserable. Majority of the food that we tend to kind of lean for, sometimes a little bit more calorific. It might be, deemed as bad, or it might be processed, and it might not feel like something that, we should be eating whilst we're trying to lose weight. Well, we already know that to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Now, of course, we want a nice, healthy, balanced diet. We want to be getting our protein in, of course. We want to be getting some veggies in, some micronutrients. But to be able to be consistent with a diet and actually enjoy our week of food, we need to be making sure that we are adding in the foods that we are enjoying and not removing them, and learning how we can build them into our calorie deficit. And then the final one is being consistent. Yes, but being consistent over analyzing the fact that you need to be perfect. Because don't get me wrong, in those 6 weeks, there were some pizzas that were untracked. There were some nights out that were probably untracked here and there. But I did not let them ruin my consistency. The next day, I still got up and still got my steps in. The next day, I still stuck to my calorie deficit. I didn't let the fact that one day where I wasn't on track ruin the rest of the week of me being on track. Because one day, in the grand scheme of things, is nothing. But when you let one day turn into 1 week, and then you let that happen multiple times, then that's what's going to slow your progress down. But if you let one day happen and leave it at one day, it is going to be so minuscule in your weight loss journey, you won't even think about it at the end. So we need to learn on aiming to be consistent rather than thinking we need to be perfect every single day. Have your non-negotiables, have what you can actually complete even when life is busy. And if something does happen, if a day does go by where you don't get your steps in or you don't get your workout done, have a look. Can you compensate for it elsewhere? Could you, do an additional 20 minutes on your walk the next day? Could you move your workout to a different day of the week? If it's a no, it's not the end of the world. If you continue and make sure that you work with the other habits that are in place that are helping you achieve your goal. So those are the 5 principles that I truly believe were the backbone to my journey, that actually made it feel enjoyable and actually helped me see consistent progress week in week. And like I say, love the process. So I hope that you took something away from that, whether it is motivation, whether it is knowledge, whatever it may be. I hope that you are coming away with something. And I like to just keep it straight to the point. We don't need to overcomplicate things. We don't need to overanalyze things. I really do recommend trying to keep things to the bare minimum, the bare basics. You don't need to analyze what other people are up to determine your success. So yes, like I say, if a fitness, healthy lifestyle is your thing, you are in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe or follow me on all my other social platforms as well down below. And I will see you in my next video.